0.29 on 70, back up to 0.3 on 80 and 90, and then 100 goes down to 0.29. And on this then we would join up our dots to actually show the trend. And we're asked then, using the above results, write down the best estimate for the probability of not obtaining a 6 on Carwin's dice, giving a reason for your answer. Now we got to pick a probability. From his experiment we need to pick a probability, and the rule is we should always go for the information we get from the most trials. And after he'd done 100 he had 0.29, so 0.29 is our probability of getting a 6. So we need to do 1 minus 0.29 to find the probability of not, and that's 0.71 of not getting a 6. And then Carwin says the dice is not a fair dice. Explain why Carwin's statement could be true. Well, as we said at the beginning, these numbers, this dice has the numbers 1 to 10 on it. So if you roll it 10 times, realistically, you could expect numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up to 10 to come out once. Alright? It doesn't happen like that in real life, but over time you would expect to see that pattern emerging, or roughly you'd expect the probability of a 6 to be 10%. 10% of the time 6 would come up because there's 10 numbers, but we're actually looking at 29% getting a 6. So it looks like it's biased because we expect 10%, but we're getting 29%. If we wanted to know for sure whether it was biased, we could do more and more trials until we're satisfied that we've done enough. Now this is a very, very confusing cumulative frequency here, because we got the two curves in one, and some quite challenging questions to do with both, so we'll take this quite slow. Help for you and first call are two different telephone helplines. Information was recorded for the first 800 callers of the day for each helpline. The cumulative frequency diagram illustrates the time it took for these callers to get through to each of these helplines. Now, I'm going to do a bit of prep first, because both of these curves go all the way up to the top of the paper, which means that 800 is the full size of the sample. I'm just going to write M next to 400 because I know that that's where I'll find the median. I'm going to half 400 again and write LQ next to 200 because that's where I'll find the lower quartile. And then I'm going to go up 200 then to 600 and write UQ for upper quartile. I know we haven't read the questions yet, but it's incredibly likely that we will have to calculate medians and interquartile range on a question like this. Now my scales are okay. This here, going up the side, goes up in 10, it goes up to 100. And along the bottom as well, that goes across in ones, because obviously that's 10 there in between 0 and 20. So there's no problem with the scale. That's quite nice. It says the solid line represents the data for the telephone helpline help for you, and the dotted line represents the data for the telephone helpline first call. How many of the 800 callers to first call took less than 15 seconds to get through? Now 15 seconds is just here where my pen is. I'm going to change colour pen here because I'm going to be drawing a good few lines on. So first call is the dashed line, and I'm going to make sure now I draw up from 15, which is just there, all the way up to the dashed line, and then when I get there I'm going to come across and I see then that's 300. Another check, it said first call, and that's the dashed line, so I have done the right thing. I could have made a mistake and stopped there, look, gone all the way across to 300. So less than 15 seconds were these people here, which were 300 calls. Now I need to keep the graph in front of me. But another questions now. Help for You was set a target to answer 40% of all calls in less than 25 seconds. And they actually met the target with these 800 calls. By how many seconds did they beat their target? Now I'm going to do a little bit of non-calculated maths to start with. 40% of 800. Now 40% of 800, if I work on 10% is 80, then see that 40% is 320. So they needed to make sure, right, that 25 seconds they didn't have more than 320 calls. They want them less there, so that it shows that they've done it, they beat the time. So if we read off where 320 is, 320 is just here, 2 boxes up from the line we previously drew. I'm going to draw across then until I hit Help for You, which is the solid line, remember. Okay, so 320, going to come across, so I hit that solid line, and then I'm going to draw down from there, like so, and I'm on 21 seconds. So they managed to do 320 calls in 21 seconds. They were set the target at 25 seconds, so they beat their target by 4 seconds. Which of the two companies had the lower median time, and by how many seconds? Now this is where I'm going to use the work I did earlier. I said that M was 400, so I'm going to draw a line across now from 400 that goes through both curves, and then I'm going to draw down from first call to start with, and first call comes out bang on 20, and then Help for You here comes out on 25. So I'm going to write down first call was 20 and Help for You was 25. So first call better on average because they had the lower median time there by 5 seconds. So first call by 5 seconds. And then calculate the interquartile range of the times for each company. So more lines on. I need my upper quartile here at 600. You've got to be as precise as you can on this because they will expect precision. So there's one there and there's one there. So the upper quartiles for first call, I'm going to write the upper quartiles down first. For first call, which is the dashed line, is 40. And for Help for You, which was the solid line, is 5 less, 35. Now I need the lower quartiles so I can do my takeaway. Need to draw across at 200. And then straight down there. So one of them is 10. And then straight down again. And the other one is 13. So the solid line, which is Help for You, is 13. So Help for You 13. And the dashed line first call was 10. That's the hard work done. The IQR is the easy bit. 40 take away 10, which is 30. And then IQR for Help for You, 35 take away 13, which is 22. One of these companies was given an award for the speed of answering the telephone. Which company do you think won the award? You must give a reason for your answer. Okay. Now, as long as you justify it, you can pick. The easiest thing, I think, for me, you could use this answer from up here. You could say first call. Because they had the lower median. On average, they had the lower median. But you may want to say about Help for You being more consistent because they've got the smaller interquartile range. Right? If you've got a large range, it means that you're quite inconsistent, you spread out. But help for you is a little bit smaller. Now, if we have a look at the graphs, we think about you know, you want your calls to be within this time, okay? And at this point, all the dashed line has been a steeper gradient than the thick line, so it means up to 500 calls where the lines intersect, first call were faster. So first call were faster for the first 500 calls, and they have the lower median. And even though they dip a bit there then, and help for you overtakes them in the gradient, they actually get all of their calls within 50 seconds, whereas help for you has to carry on all the way up to the end. So for me, it's clear it is first call. And my reason is going to be either they have a lower median, or they have steeper gradient for the first 500 calls. What else did we say? And yeah, they answer all calls sorted in under 60 seconds. Any one of those 3 bullet points will be fine. And that's the paper complete. So if you have any extra questions, anything you're concerned about, remember, I'm just trying to get back to our front sheet. I've lost it. I'll just put this one here for a minute. Remember to fill in strengths and targets. You can reference a question, bring it back into class and speak through it, talk through it with your teacher if you didn't understand the solutions from the video. Okay, best of luck with your revision.